So looks like we decided that we had our first round versus Maindeck Taylor today, and we ended up going with the dice roll a little bit. And with the dice roll, Taylor ended up winning. And I'm not sure what we were playing against at the start. There was, a water spirit. So I was like, oh, joy. Since I'm also playing water, this is going to be a very interesting matchup of gameplay because it's going to be a water mirror depending on what we're playing against. I don't know if he's playing the list that my team brought to St. Toronto, what he's playing. I do see a Dahlia and a Crocillion Archer and a Fractal Rain, and I go, oh, this is the list that Maindeck had built like early ALC, if not early MRC. I can't remember exactly when the video came out, but this is their Water Ranger list. And I was like, okay, so they're going to go for mill. Since we're going second, we get to draw 7. We're playing normal Spirit of Water. This is the Lucky Yuki's alter proxy of Spirit of Water Sylvie. So we draw 7, draw 8. And pretty much all we're looking for in our opening hand at this point is that we need Icebound Slams and we need ways to mill. We're pretty much building a Nico list at this point. And I know my opponent does have 4 cards in their hand. I'm trying to debate if there's going to be a Frostbind or something, because if I just open up with an Icebound Slam, I could Icebound Slam, get it countered, and I don't have any real response to it. But if I wait an extra turn, I should have enough cards to sort of deal with it in that case. So I think I decide to go ahead and pass the turn, leaving up 8 cards in hand, just so I can next turn go ahead and grab a backup charger, draw an extra card, and have enough to Icebound Slam into pretty much pay out our Frostbind. But with Taylor, they're going to go ahead and grab their own turbocharge, or not turbocharge, backup charger. They're going to mill 1. Carter, sort of surprise. Oh, yep, it is a Diana list. It is a level 3 Diana list as a whole. So we do recommend, and this me showing off that we both end up having the Lucky Yuki, a power cell promo that's really well done over by Lucky. So if you haven't, go ahead and check out their Patreon. They do a lot of good proxy cards. They release every single month as part of the Patreon fee. I think it's around $20 a month. And you get a couple different versions. My opponent opens up a second Fractal Rain, and I go, okay, this is just going to be a very brutal matchup for me. They're going to go ahead and drop down an arrow. So this is pretty much a generic arrow that gets to load into target. It has floating memory, and it gets to go ahead and deal 4 damage, if I'm not mistaken, if not 3. So that's me just clarifying what the card is, so I can go ahead and know what my opponent is playing, and I know what to play around. So then they still keep up 4 cards in hand. I'm going to go ahead and go to the backup charger myself, like we discussed. Pay 3 down, backup charge, draw a card in the memory, and then get to go ahead and draw that card. I think I was debating at some point. I had a look. I think I do have like a Fracturize in hand, but I don't want to Fracturize yet, because if I Fracturize, I'll be down a card for the game plan that we talked about sooner. So we're going to go ahead and draw it into memory, and this is where I'm going to go ahead and just, pretty sure, swing down an Icebound Slam here. I'm not fearing for my opponent a Song of Frost or anything of the sort, just to get it down and get the trigger going. So we're going to go ahead and debate how we want to go ahead and pay this out. So we do have future responses if we need to later on. So we're going to go ahead and just pay down. Here's our 7 coming down. We're going to keep 2 extra cards in hand with the Icebound Slam. Opponent goes, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take 8. So I know at this point that my opponent doesn't have a response. So we're going to go ahead and mill Ringleader, Fracturize. There's my Fractal Rain, a Tide Lock, and a Frostwind Pal. Not really good hits. I mean, the Sea Spectaver could be, Sea Ringleader could be a little bit good, but not 100%, depending on how we get that. So we're going to put the Fracturize on its own pile to the side over there, and everything else over on a pile to the right. Sort of showing the Seaside Ringleader on the top, knowing to remind myself that I can't activate this ability if I go ahead and draw an ally, which I don't think I do. I think all I have really in hand is a Bovine, and I'm not really sure if I want to buff a Bovine. So we're just going to get that swinging when we can. And we pass the turn over to Taylor. Now, Taylor with the Fractal Rain promo are going to go ahead and mill out a Desperate Dive and a reposition. So I know that there is a floating memory, and I do know that there's a Desperate Dive in the deck that's going to be used against me. So I have to sort of try and plan about it. But there's not going to be too many spots. I think it's pretty much going to be coming down to if he has it, he has it type deals, and just forcing him to have all the responses. So Taylor's thinking what they want to do. Like I said, I do have a Fracturize in hand. I think I go ahead and GCR my next time. We'll find out. So we do have Dahlia coming down here. Not class bonus yet, so we don't get any of the class bonus effects. They're going to go ahead and pay a little bit differently, which is fine. I mean, we had a couple mistakes, but this is all for fun. So we're going to go ahead and pay 2 down, put 1 into that, and they're going to go ahead and swing 1 at me with their Dahlia. I couldn't find my pad anymore, so I am just going to be at 1 damage already, trying to represent it with dice a little bit while I can. And they're going to go ahead and grab out the Scepter Lumina on their side. So I'm going to grab Scepter, milling out the arrow, which is pretty much free at that point to begin with, and knowing that when he levels up, I'm going to take an extra 4 damage starting next turn. So I'm going to go ahead and untap, grab GCR, pop GCR to draw a card, and like I said, this is why I think I have a Fracturize in my hand. The Fracturize is going to be used to fracturize the Power Cell. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. I think I Fracturize his Power Cell instead, actually. Nope, I do Fracturize my Power Cell. And I end up realizing that I do have a nice little chess club token to represent the Fracturize on the Power Cell. Shoutouts chess club. So we're going to go ahead and draw a card for turn. I think I don't have an Icebound hand, Slam and Ham. I think, a Stratagem in hand. And I don't really have anything else too good. I think I just have a Bovine, though, as well, which is just going to let me trying to get some mill triggers going off because I don't really have anything else. Oh, no. We just play Sea Strike Diver. This is not the game I thought it was. So Sea Strike Diver is going to go ahead and swing it for 2. I think I do have a Primordial Ritual in hand, so I can sacrifice over float, level up, and then I can possibly trigger the Ringleader if I want to later on. This is sort of me doing some math. I'm going to go ahead and Chilling Touch my opponent just so they get out a card from their memory, knowing that they don't have a floating memory that isn't class bonus in their hand currently, representing that I have 4 cards in my hand. This is me leaving up the Primordial Ritual for the future turns in case I want to go ahead and trade into the Ringleader. So we're going to Chilling Touch. So we're going to get banish a card temporarily, so they can't use it to level up, and it's going to force them to probably do a couple different interactions to get the level up if they want to, and try and slow that down a little bit. So opponent's going to go ahead and pay 2 actually. And they are going to backstep. They want to backstep their champion, I think, or their Dahlia. I think it's their champion. And they're going to go ahead and backstep here. And with the backstep, they're going to go ahead and have a card down in their memory, or so they can go ahead and level up this turn. I think they're debating whether or not they want to keep it. They really wanted to keep it or not. But they are going to go ahead and still go into level 1 Diana. They're going to use that 1 card in there, which was going to be... I didn't really see what it was, actually. But they do go ahead and get rid of it. And then from there, they're going to go ahead and go backstep into the Ice Arrow. I can't think of the name. I think it's Hornfrost or something like that. So they're going to go ahead and go into that. And then they're going to pretty much look at the level up, debate some swings. And we're going to get their swing in here. They're going to go ahead and swing at my Spirit. Decent amount of damage. I think they only have 2 water cards in the grave, so not too much extra. So take an extra 3 or 4 damage. And I want to take 4 also. I remember off the level up from the Scepter as well. So we're going to make sure we have all that represented accordingly here in a second. I think we talked about that. I think I'm going to go up to 9. I think he's doing a little bit of math here. Yep, so re-clarifying. Yep, Scepter damage. The final webcam, you sort of forget about things at this point, especially when you're out of practice of playing games. So there is going to be that little bit of Scepter damage going to come on through. And then with the Scepter damage coming through, they're trying to debate if they can kill me. They didn't think they can. They're going to get a couple extra damage here with Archer. It's going to put me a little bit on the edge, but not enough to fully finish me off. So we're going to go ahead and go up to, I think, 11 at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and look for the 1 on the dice, grab another dice to represent another 1. Oh, sorry, so we took 5 damage. My bad. So take a decent amount of damage, and we're going to go ahead here. And I think they're going to go ahead and pass the turn, leaving a couple cards up in their hand to respond. I'm going to, the turn, going to Primordial Ritual the Diver here. It's a mill 2. Knowing because I have a stratagem in my hand, it's just me trying to dig and get as much floating memory as possible, which is going to be one of the stratagems that is proxied, and a Freezing Steel as well. We can go ahead and then tap the Power Cell if we want to here to level up into, when we level up into Sylvie to get the other unentered trigger if we fully need it. So we're going to go ahead and use the Freezing Steel out of my memory. We're going to go ahead and level. And level 1 Sylvie on the turn sec. I'm still debating if I want to pay the 1. Trying to do some math here. And we're going to go ahead and use the Fracturize. Oh, I guess not. I think it's me just still doing math because I have to play around at this whole time Frostbind or Tidal Lock, depending if they have it. So I decided not to use it just so I can have the extra cards up to pay for those counter spells. And doing math, I know my opponent is at 8. I can go ahead and hit them for only another... sorry, they're at 10. Sorry. 10. I have to deal 9. I have, I think, 3 floating memory in my grave. So it's just trying to do stratagem and trying to do math if I can get out of it, if it's my best line of option. Knowing that I'm pretty much going to be dead next turn, depending on what they use, especially because I have the arrow. There's a lot of damage that can come on out that can go ahead and kill me. So I'm going to go ahead and think about what I can do here, which is pretty much, I think the only plan I have is pretty much either the pass or the stratagem, and I don't think I have much else as a whole. So we are going to go ahead and pretty much put 6 down, and we're going to stratagem here, leaving 2 up for counters if I need to, and I think I have exactly 9. So 3, 6, and 9. So opponent Taylor's going to go ahead and look here, debating what they're going to do. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so we do have 12 damage. We do have technically representing lethal on the board currently. So this is pretty much just an all-in play, knowing I don't have anything else in my hand. This is pretty much going to be a play that they have a response, I have a response. If they don't, they don't. And try and force them that. Pretty much one of the situation. You force them to have it, they have it. So he's going to go ahead and put 2 down. He's going to go ahead and fracturize his power cell, which is going to be fine. So he fracturizes his power cell. He's going to go ahead and put another 1 down for a desperate dive. And this is where I didn't have the title lock to punish this play. It's pretty much what the main response was at this point. Was hoping. So he's going to let me. So we did almost had him almost play. So we walked it back because he knew the right line, which is pretty much make me banish and then target. Activate I don't see anything in response. And then he's going to go ahead and desperate dive. And then I don't have the title lock, and that ends up closing out the deal. So, and that ends up being game number 1, but not really any response here because he's going to head in the gate 3, and he's going to pretty much stay alive. Or in the gate 2, he's only going to take 4 damage, putting him up to 14. Oh no, he's up to 12. And there's not very much else I can do at that point. He's going to pretty much live. That's going to be game. And he's just going to go ahead and go into game number 2. Here in a second. Just pretty much going through it, and yep, we're going to shuffle. We talk about sideboard, we talk about everything else, and I don't really have a sideboard to talk about in this. I mean, I do, but I didn't feel like sleeving them in and out. So we pretty much just go right here into game number 2. So game number 2 is starting very shortly. So I decided to go first at this point. Depending when I draw, I mean, pretty much I want to be the aggro deck. I want to get down a little bit, beat downs a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and draw our 7. I think the way this worked out too, I opened up double Icebound Slam here. So double Icebound Slam in the opener was just pretty good for me. I'm just going to go ahead and pass turn because nothing I can do is nothing I can attack and nothing I can respond to. So we go ahead and pass the turn. Let my opponent go ahead and draw 7. I'm going to pretty much, depending on what to do, I'm probably just going to end up backup charging next turn to get extra card draw, get 2 cards in hand just so I have them. And just hoping our opponent doesn't have a response. So they're going to go ahead and they're going to resolve 2 again for another Fractal Rain. Again, they saw 3 so far. I haven't seen a single one outside of what I milled. But hey, nothing you can do about that. So we're going to go ahead now, and they're going to leave up 5 cards in hand. We're going to go ahead and turbocharge, like we talked about. We're just sort of shortcutting it a little bit, already putting the 3 cards down for it, just to speed up the games a little bit, and grabbing our Power Cell token. And then we're going to draw 1 into our memory. And then we are going to, I accidentally untipped the Power Cell. It's going to get tapped here in a second. So we're going to recollect and draw. And then I'm going to realize here in a second that Power Cell should be tapped, but I don't have any automatons. It doesn't fracturize. So I said, oops, hold on, let me tap this. This should be rested. And we're going to go ahead and now do math. So this is where we're going to just rip the Icebound Slam. Knowing I have 2 of them, if the first one gets countered, it's not that big of a deal. But knowing that we now have the second one is sort of worthwhile. And it's just now make sure we put down the cards properly in case we get Chilling Touch or something out of the way. So trying to keep everything up a certain way so we have it. And we're going to go ahead and rip the Icebound Slime here. Trying to swing it for 8. 8 goes through. So we're going to go ahead and freeze still. Nope. He said 8, then he said wait. So I said, oh, yep, that's fine. Then he said allow it. Freezing Steel, Fracturize gets hit. Ringleader, Riptide, and Chilling Touch. So we do hit 3 floating memory right off. So it's pretty good for us. And then we go ahead and pass the turn, leave 1 card up, which I think is going to be our other Icebound Slam. I don't know if he runs Chilling Touch. If he runs a Chilling Touch, like I said, it hasn't been seen, but it's one of those things that we want to play around it to begin with. So it's why we're not putting our Icebound Slam down into our memory in case it does get Chilling Touched out, and it does slow down our game plan a little bit. So they're going to go ahead and get their own backup charger of their own, go get their turbocharge, going to pay them for a Fractal of Rain here, and then they're going to go ahead and fracturize an item, which I'm pretty sure is going to be their own fractal of their own Power Cell, so they can go ahead and have that floating memory in their grave already, and then they can go ahead and have that resource available to them on their next turn to pay for reserve costs. So we're going to go ahead and put 2 down here on Taylor's side, And Taylor, I think, is going to just go ahead and I think put down like a Frostborn Paladin here for 3. He does put Frostborn, he does eat it to get the draw card. He was debating on whether or not I do have a second Icebound Slam. And he decides to pass a turn because he doesn't want to get double Icebound Slammed here, which was a good call on his part because the fact I did have it. So he did make the right call here and not swinging. He didn't take the gamble. He did take the safer play. So I'm going to go ahead and grab GCR and I am going to draw a card, look, and then see what else we have. I think I ended up drawing a stratagem. I think this was like a pretty quick game number 2. We ended up drawing another card here. And I think it was just more trying to debate if I had enough damage to just push it through and as well get around any form of counterspell magic of the sort, which is either going to be a Frostbind or something like a Tidal Lock. So this is me just doing a lot of math, trying to figure out what's going to be the best line of action here. I do have the other options if I want to go ahead and Smoke Bombs next turn, the Frostborn Paladin I can, and then into an Icebound Slam. If I don't have enough cards, I think to stratagem or combo off into it, just buying next turn might get me there. So there's a couple different options that I'm sort of playing around in my head here, and decide to just start putting down cards, trying to figure out what I have. And we're going to go ahead and put 6 down and then stratagem here off the rip. And we do have 3 cards left in hand, and we have 3 cards in our grave with floating memory. So we'll go ahead and come through for 9 damage. If it does resolve, looking at how many cards I have in my hand. And I do notice Taylor is having his cards a little shown, but I haven't really looked at them. So I don't really know what's in his hand on average. So I'm pretty much going off of my own playstyle because I'm not really looking at it that much. So they're going to backs up to draw a card, hopefully trying to hit like a Desperate Dive or something of the sort. So Desperate Dive is going to go ahead and come, backs up is going to go ahead and come through here. And then we are debating, so we are seeing if it resolves. So we're going to resolve 3, 6, 9, 9 targeting Spirit, and that is going to be the end of game number 2 with a very quick victory over here on Sylvie's end. So pretty much now we're going to go ahead and reshuffle. There's not really much else to do in the sideboard here. So we're going to go ahead and get into game number 3, which one's a little bit longer of a game. This one does have a little more of a grind fest coming out. So they decide to go first, which is, of course, you don't want to give the stack pretty much the turn 1 into some good pressure, especially the fact if you're trying to go overcommit and get into another Icebound Slam situation again overall. So pretty much opening up to 7. A little bit of a pause of just sort of talking a little bit, talking about some events, talking about some other things that's happening recently in the game, and just sort of talk about how everything else is going for ourselves. So we are going to go ahead and put down they're going to put down the Spire, the Honefrost Spire, I'm pretty sure it's called. It is a 1/3 bow. So it comes in with 3 durability counters. I'm going to go ahead and, of course, go into level 1 Sylvie. For the 1 Sylvie, we're going to go ahead and grab our 8 cards. And we're going to go ahead and draw into it. There was a little mishap early on, not too much though, so we'll discuss that later when it comes up. But pretty much drawing our 8 cards, and we're going to go ahead and debate what we have, and we're just going to pretty sure just rip an Icebound Slam. I mean, I don't get to see any Fractal Rains. I've yet to see a single Fractal Rain. I actually just had to go Bovine here just to get the mill, because the best thing I can do at this point is just get some mill triggers. So I'm going to swing it for 1. We're going to mill 2. We're going to get a Song of Frost and an Icebound Slam. Not exactly what I want to see. A little bit brutal. But we're not really hitting anything else in our hand. We're sort of having to filter everything that we have and just try and figure it all out. So we end up milling, trying to figure out what else we have. And I think I just leave up their response here because they do have 2 cards up. I forget what's in my hand. I'm pretty sure it's just like a Fracturize. Actually, no, it's a Primordial Ritual. You have a Primordial Ritual. Excuse me. In our hand, and with the Primordial Ritual, we can go ahead and sacrifice Bowman if we need to in the middle actually too, but we also leaving 3 cards up so we can go ahead and Power Cell token our next turn. So this is sort of where we're trying to figure it all out. So we're going to go ahead and pass the turn. Like I said, we talked about Maryland a little bit, talk about his choice into bringing it into Toronto, what was the reasoning, how their testing was going, how they were feeling about certain things. We talked a little bit about how we were dealing with like Kongming and a couple other brews that we had going on. So it was those things that we were just sort of shooting around a little bit and talking a couple of different items that were happening. So we're pretty much just talking about like gin and their other gin brews and how the playtesting with those are going. I'm not going to spoil anything because it's not my right to spoil anything of what happens in these conversations. That's why I'm doing voiceovers, because I'm pretty much talking with people as a whole as we're playing these games. So we get to go ahead and pretty much let it all go in one way or another. That's why we're doing voiceovers, and I'll have audio playing. Haha, protecting people. But anywho, we're going to go ahead and continue the turn here. So we're going to go ahead and put 2 cards down on Taylor's side. Taylor's going to go ahead and actually put 3 down. He's going to put down, I think this is a bow. No, this is an arrow. This is another ice arrow that has floating memory. Load, I think it does about 3 damage, if not 4 damage. I can't, my own dice betrays me. They're going to go ahead and grab the scepter because I have the floating memory. So I'm going to grab the scepter for free. And then we're going to go ahead and grab, like I said, the backup charger here. Backup charger, put 3 down, draw a card of the memory, put the extra card down, and then we're going to go ahead and recollect and draw for the turn. And trying to debate what we can do here. So I'm pretty sure I swing in with the bovine. Bovine's always a free open first attack. See what we mill. Pretty much the rest of the turn. We have another Song of Frost, and we do have a Fracturize this time. So we have 1 floating memory into our graveyard. So we can go ahead and level up in the Sylvie next turn if we need to. We get a little bit extra life. And then we have to figure out sort of the rest of the turn. I don't really think I have much pressure in my hand. I think I have like a double Primordial Ritual in this opener. And then I have, I think, yeah, this Chilling Touch here just to get some extra floating memory. Pretty much trying to set up for a future stratagem if I do hit it. So pretty much just trying to set up the game plan a little bit more for future turns so I can try and get a combo off win if I can. So that is going to come on down here. We're going to go ahead and pass the turn. So we end up having 6 cards in hand. We are left for 5 life, and just say, yep, go ahead. Not much else we can do. Try and represent, say, like a title lock or something else in our hand here that could be used later on. So we're going to go ahead and, like I said, pass the turn, watch, see what Taylor ends up pulling. I think Taylor decides to go ahead and go level 1 Diana here. So we're going to take 4 extra damage from the level 1 Diana, and that Diana damage is going to go ahead and come on through. And we go up 4 up to 9. So there's a couple of things we can feed here at this point, but we do have a lot of cards up in hand, so we can Primordial Ritual. I think we have a Song of Frost. We have, I think the Fracturize and something else. Actually, no Fracturize. Double Primordial. I think a Song of Frost, and I think a Stratagem. Not mistaken. So there's a couple different things that we could do that I don't have too much as a whole. So we're going to try and figure out. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to, I think, really debate what they want to do here. And decide to pass a turn. We grab the bovine back up. We're going to go with the level 1 Sylvie just to play a little extra life because we sort of need it at this point. So we get rid of the Chilling Touch. We go level 1. We do still have the on enter Sylvie on the stack, so we're going to recollect and resolve that. So we're going to go ahead and swing in 1 more with the bovine, mill an extra 2 damage. We have Ringleader and Refracting Missile. So Ringleader is going to go away here. Now this is me doing math. If I can Ringleader into something else to get a little bit extra health or a little bit extra big units. But there wasn't a way I could do it and then keep up like a Primordial Ritual or keep up any form of counter magic or counter influence for the counter action cards. So I think this is just going to be me for a couple of seconds here, trying to do a lot of math to try and figure out how we want to utilize this situation. Try and maximize the most we can out of it because we're going to have to really try and get in a lot of damage overall. Because I think I do end up having, I think I do have a Riptide in hand, but I don't think I had enough to go ahead and pay 2 to Ringleader and a Riptide without getting caught out by something like a Frostbind or a Tidal Lock. So I had to try to weigh my options here, and I think I decided to just go ahead and Riptide. Because there was a couple different ways I could do it. Because I'm trying to think if there was a way, and there might have been, where if activation was good and there was a way to unenter it and I could banish the Ringleader, but I didn't want to mess with that too much. I wasn't going to mess with interactions and rulings. So we're going to go ahead and come in with +1/+1 again, originally from the Sylvie on-enter trigger from Riptide, and we go ahead and banish card and draw a card off of the on-enter effect, and we now have a 3/6 turtle. So we are going to go ahead and swing in with the turtle here for 3 damage. There's a Spell Shroud, so we don't have to worry about it dying to anything else outside of combat, and it's very hard for Taylor's deck to deal with a lot of good combat damage to it early on to sort of clear it off the board, especially the fact that I have a couple ways to deal with some interactions. So we're going to go ahead and pass the turn now at this point and watch for what they do pretty much at this point. There's going to be a couple of things that could happen and trying to figure out what will happen next. we're going to go ahead and pass the turn and see what happens overall. So we're going to go ahead and they're going to grab a bullet here. I think I talk about a couple of things. They do have the on enter, and I'm trying to figure out what's the best way because there's a couple of takebacks, but I'm going to go ahead and freezing steel so they can't load the bullet. So yeah, in response to the on enter, we are going to freezing steel that coming out. So in response, make sure that's locked down. They can't activate a bullet this turn. Anything else they want to come in that's an item can't activate. Actually, no. Next item. So only the next item, so they can go and do other things if they want to, because it is only on the next instance of an item that enters for this turn. Which was a bullet, which was a fair assessment because we had to slow it on deck a little bit. We couldn't take a gun into, say, a combo turn, so we had to pretty much slow it down a little bit, as well as getting this freezing steel into our graveyard. Does give us the option to go into level 2 Nico, so we can go ahead and level up and try and survive an extra turn on just off of the pure health pool that we're going to have. So it does also slow down any dungeon guides they might have in their hand. They can't dungeon guide into a Shadow Storm anymore, so it does end up slowing the game plan down a little bit, where they're unable to do a couple different things properly. So we're just sort of seeing Taylor trying to figure out what's the next line of action here, what they want to do, and how they want to proceed going on for the next turn, and try and figure out, like I said, the best line of action for them at this point. So they're going to go ahead and figure that out, try to figure out if they're dead next turn, if there's certain interaction they have to keep up, and if there's anything else that they have to do overall in response. So we are going to go ahead and see what we have left at this point. I said everything else is sort of passing through, everything's sort of coming down as quick as we can, and trying to get these interactions and such done to try and get the games a little bit smoother flowing at this point. But we are going to go ahead and see in the charger come on out. I think that is a ship, so they're going to go ahead and swing into me going up to 14, and we're going to end up, I think, going up into Nico level 2 just to get a little extra health. So I know 5 damage is pretty easily doable on this board state, and depending if they level up. So we're going to go ahead and go into, I think, level 2 Nico here. And I'm trying to do math. If I have a stratagem or something in my hand, so I can go ahead and banish and level, but there was no way I can properly kill because I think I already have about 5 damage on the Taylor at this point. So we're going to go into level 2 Nico here, and we'll go ahead and recollect and draw for turn. And then from here, I was trying to do math if I could Icebound Slam as well. So they're at, I'm going to have a misplay here. And that's because I think they're level 1. So for some reason, so I mess up everything sequence-wise based off of this. So we're going to go ahead and mill 2 off of Bovine. Fractal Rain, of course. Again, can't see him all game to play, but I'm going to see him off my mills, which has been a brutal game. So they're up to 7. Now they're going to be up to 10 with the Bovine, if I swing with Bovine here. So pretty sure we get the Bovine swing. Bovine. 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 I mean, not Bovine. Sorry. Rip back. And this is me trying to do math. There's a lethal line. Again, this is me trying to do math that they have Diana level 1, not level 2. And it sort of messes up everything game plan wise at this point. I think I have lethal math in my head about things, but I mess it up because of, like I said, this misrepresenting or misunderstanding the board state. Which, I mean, it happens, honestly. It honestly happens. So, like I said, don't mind the pause. I think I do have a couple other plans. I'm trying to figure out if there's a way I could live or do a couple other things. So we're going to go ahead and see anything else I can do. So I think we end up not doing much overall. I think we just sort of trying to plan the math, get in with that Riptide, and then we're going to go ahead and Icebound here, and end up not having lethal. Which, hey, it happens. It happens. So we get the damage in. And then there's also the debate if I can live an extra turn. If I don't have anything in my hand that lets me live. Like I said, it's a double Primero Ritual hand, so there's not really anything I can do to survive an extra turn. So we're going to go to Fractal Rain. And reveal 2. Reveal the Primero Ritual. We're going to pay, I think, 1 with that in a second. Or do we pass the turn? This might be where we pass the turn. hoping that we can live. And yeah, that's exactly what. We passed the turn. We don't have Song of Frost. We milled 2 Song of Frost, which would have been perfect in this matchup, but we didn't have them at all, which is a little bit brutal. So we pass with 5 cards up in hand to make our opponent think, realizing if they level up to level 3, they have 3 cards left they have to interact with, so that might be a way to live. I had to clarify for Taylor at one point that we are regular Sylvie Spirit. We are not the Serene Spirit, so we don't have a Recover 6 mechanic on our board states. Again, sort of the hard side of stuff that has to deal with, whatchamacallit, which has to deal with the webcam gameplay a little bit. So, we will see. So we're going to go ahead and find out what's going to go ahead and see what's going to be the next gameplay here and try and figure it all out. So we're going to go ahead and have a little pass. They're going to grab a GCR to start leveling up, realizing they don't have to lethally kill me this turn. They don't think I have anything lethal kill next turn, so they took a little bit of the safe route. So they're going to go ahead and GCR. Think about their turn a little bit. Think about what they can do, what they can set up. And go from there. So we are going to go ahead and Taylor's going to figure out their game plan, figure out what they want to do, figure out if they, I think they have a dungeon guide. I could be wrong on dungeon guide if they have it. I don't know if this deck runs dungeon guide, honestly. So they're sort of just trying to figure out if there is a lethal turn in their wake. They do have to deal 11 to me, which is a little bit harder at times. So they're trying to do the mental math, which is fair. I mean, it happens. It's sort of just how those game plans end up working out and what you need to do at times. So pretty much let them figure everything out. Let them figure out what has to be done. And then we will get it all sorted out on the back end as it happens. So they're going to go ahead and Frostborn Paladin here. And then with that Frostborn Paladin, they're going to pretty much set that up where they can possibly leave this up for if there's an Icebound Slam come in, but it could leave open if they have a Song of Frost, which is going to be absolutely fine for them if they swing in because they have a way to go ahead and respond to it. So we are going to take here. I think there's going to be a swing in coming in for 3. We take 3. We're up to 17. So 17 damage is on Nico at this point. And then we are going to, I think they just passed the turn with, I think, a few cards up in hand, like 3 or 4. I'm not 100% sure. No, more than that, way more. So we are going to end a turn here, pay 4 to Refracting Missile for 1. Sorry, pay 3 to Refracting Missile for 1. Or 2. For 2 damage. They're going to be up to 12, I'm pretty sure. And we're going to untap here, and then we're going to go ahead and grab a GCR, draw a card, possibly in response, but we're going to say, we're going to take the gamble. We're going to Fractal Rain before we GCR. We'll let the Fractal Rain trigger resolve. Fractal Rain trigger resolves, and it is a give bath. Of course, nothing I wanted. So we're going to go ahead and GCR, and it's going to be a floating memory card. You know, this is how games work. So we're going to go ahead and set up the Recollect, and we're going to go ahead and draw for turn. We're going to get a couple extra swings in here with the Bovine and Rip Back. So Bovine is going to go ahead and swing on attack trigger mill 2, which is going to be another Rip Back, and it's going to be Cerulean Decree. Because of course it is. We can't find anything that we want in this matchup. It's a sort of bad beats. And it is what it is. And then we're going to go ahead and swing in now for the other 3. And this is back to me doing math, trying to see if I have enough damage, trying to see if I have enough to push lethal this turn. I mean, I only have 1 floating memory, so it has been Icebound Slam. I can't do anything else with the form of the stratagem. So we are going to go ahead and set it up, try and figure it all out here in a second. And as we do have a little bit of items coming down, paying our 7. Like I said, trying to figure out that lethal line as quickly as possible. See if there's anything that we can do before the end of the turn, or if there's anything at all that can happen before we set it all up. So we are going to go ahead and Primordial Ritual here. This is me doing math. We're going to go ahead and Primordial Ritual here. Primordial Ritualing Bovine to mill an extra 2. Hit another Bovine and hit a Stratagem. So once again, not anything we needed. We had to go level 2, so we lose all this extra floating memory here. And we're just trying to figure out if there's a line. And we're going to Ravaging Finale for 6. Banishing 2, adding 2 lash counters onto Nico. And again, this was me messing up damage and not realizing that it was level 2 Diana. And that was sort of my mistake. There's nothing really damaging that could happen here at this point. And it just fully misplayed it. It said 6 to lash. Now we're doing mill math here. I think the mill is going to be like for 38 and trying to figure out if they have enough to live through it. So this is just them doing math to see if they can live off of the mill that is about to trigger here. And I'm pretty sure they can with like 4 cards left. But again, they just win next turn anyway. Was sort of the reasoning in my mind. They had lethal no matter what. So it was like me trying to get a win here. And again, I had damage lies at lethal if they were level 1. But they are not level 1. So they can absolutely live through this and live off of the mill and then just win the game. As you know, I'm an idiot. I am an absolute idiot. So it resolves. Nothing happens. So we're going to see what happens. So they're going to undo. So we're going to mill the 38. So there's everything else they kept. So pretty much divvying it up here, making it a little bit easier to count. So letting this resolve, and then I'm pretty much just like, yep, you live through all that. You have a lot of cards in grave, and it's pretty much just going to go ahead and wrap it up here in a second. Because they can go ahead and grab a Shadow Swing, they can level up, they have a lot of floating memory, they can grab any of the floating memory to level up for free, and just have responses up to things. They're going to deal 4 with the Scepter trigger here to put me up to 21. Then any number of swings here will just be lethal. Yep. So yep, there's me telling them, yep, thought they were level 1. Completely misplayed that. Is what it is. Level up. I'm going to take 4. I'm going to go up to 21. And they're going to go ahead and set up lethal here in a second. And that's sort of where it's all going to end. Sadly, that's the end of the game. But I would like to thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. Sorry I'm late on it. But thank you for Taylor for the games. Thank you to Valkyrie for setting up this content league. You guys will keep an eye out for my next video shortly here. We're round 2. I'm going to be facing Byfall. So make sure to keep an eye out for that. And yeah, pretty much lethal swings come in. And that is it. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for watching. I hope everyone has a good rest of your time. And I'll